presentation. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. This is our closing call for Macro Tracking Bootcamp. It's been a week, hasn't it? I think it's been a really good week. You guys probably learned a ton of things and hopefully got started anyways with starting to track calories and macronutrients. I'm gonna go ahead and start a little slideshow that I prepared. So just 1 second while I get that going and make it full screen, hopefully. Okay, so you guys made it. Congrats, you're at the end of Macro Tracking Bootcamp. Yay! So if you're here, just know that I am super proud of you for digesting at least some of this information, even if you haven't, listened to every lesson or implemented every single thing, even if you've just done one thing. I'm really proud of you for taking the time, making this investment into yourself with your time and energy. And you deserve to be here. Anyone who's done any of the lessons or even thought about doing any of the lessons, you deserve to be here. And I'm proud of you for every effort that you've made. So the whole point of the week was to get started with tracking, especially for people who have never done it before. It's a lot of information to digest and it's a big learning curve. So the whole point of the week was to start tracking so that you can do a diet audit. What is a diet audit? It basically means like looking at what's going on with your diet. Studies have shown that we don't remember what we eat. If I asked you, what did you eat yesterday? Chances are you would remember some things, but you're definitely not going to remember all of them. So that's why logging and tracking really gives us a better picture of what's happening with our diet. So what did you notice about your diet? And this is like a rhetorical question. You can share something in the chat if you want to, but just kind of like, what did you notice? Did you have any aha moments? Did you have any eye-opening experiences? Just from talking to people kind of one-on-one over the course of the week, I've heard a lot of, I didn't realize that I was not eating very much protein. I've heard like, wow, I didn't realize there was so much fat in the coffee creamer that I was putting into my coffee every morning. Or just could be anything. I didn't realize that I was way under eating breakfast, but then eating a ton at dinner. So whatever it is you notice, there's no like emotion, hopefully, that we should be attaching to this stuff. It's just sort of like put on your scientist lab coat and just take a look at what's going on. That's it. With macro tracking and with my system, no foods are off limits, right? You can eat anything you want, but if you want to be in a specific caloric range and if you want to hit some protein grams that are kind of like a goal, there probably is a limit to the quantity of food that you eat. So no foods are off limits, but you probably can't have an entire box of Oreos and still hit your macros, but you probably could have Oreos every day if you want to. So that's one of the reasons why I like tracking macros. Okay, so now you should have, if you went through the video tutorial that I sent out today using the Precision Nutrition Calculator, you should have your custom calorie and macronutrient plan. If you don't yet, don't worry. You can always go back and do that. And you can always do it again and again if you really want to. But we're using Precision Nutrition's calculator and then plugging those numbers that are recommended into your MyFitnessPal. So by going into your app, you can go to your goals. What I like to do is just plug in the calories and then you can adjust by toggling the percentages to get to your protein percentage and your carbs and fats. So those two things work together. And if you have any questions with that, I hopefully can help you. Okay, so now that you have your custom plan, what's next? Okay, so definitely you could DIY it. You could take your plan and just keep going the best that you can, using MyFitnessPal, using the information that we've learned over the course of the week. You can definitely take this stuff and do it on your own. That is one option. The other option is, if you want to keep working with me, you can enroll in Macros for Muscles. So this is a 10-week course where we're going to work on establishing healthy habits, and I'm going to help you implement your macro plan. So you're not just going to go it on your own, but I'm going to help you step by step. With Macros for Muscles, you get accountability. You have a community of people doing this with you. You can learn from one another. You can get ideas from one another. I think it's helpful just to not know that sometimes we think that we're the only person that wakes up in the middle of the night and eats whatever. Like, you're not. There's other people that are doing the very same thing that you are, and you know, you're never alone in this stuff. We go through, so Macro Tracking Bootcamp was information every day, like a new lesson to listen to, a new thing to implement. Macros for Muscles goes at a little bit of a slower pace. So if this information was kind of like a lot to digest in a week, we're going to slow things down, and we're really going to focus on one thing at a time. You're going to have a weekly lesson, and then you're going to have a week to practice and implement that lesson, hopefully create a new healthy habit, and then we'll build from there. So I'm going to show you some things that we're going to be working on in Macros for Muscles. So we're going to do some goal setting. I'm going to show you how to work on consistency. We're going to work on hitting a calorie range. We're going to work on hitting protein minimums. We're going to work on fiber goals. We're going to work on how to eat mindfully. We're going to work on staying motivated. I'm going to teach you the 80-20 method. We're going to work on drinking adequate water. Some lifestyle factors like getting more sleep, stress management, what to do when you overeat, meal plan, and more. So that's just an idea of some of the things that we're going to be doing in Macros for Muscles. So if these are some of the things that you're like, yeah, I would like to have more guidance in how to do that, then you know you would be in the right place. Who this program's for, who it's not for. So I think after tracking for a week, you know by now that this is something that you like doing, or this is something that you definitely don't like doing. So I think we now know if this is for us, then cool. If it's not for you, totally no big deal. There's many ways of going about body recomposition or losing fat. And so if this is not for you, that is totally fine. But a list of who Macros for Muscles is for, it's for someone who wants a structured and scientific approach. It's for someone who wants a flexible diet and to eat a variety of food, meaning it's not an elimination diet. It's not a don't eat this and eat these things. You can pretty much eat whatever you want while still hitting your calories and your protein minimum. This is for people who want to gain muscle and lose fat, AKA body recomposition. This could also be for someone who just wants to put on mass, but they want to do it in a healthy way. And this is for people who want accountability and community support. Macros for Muscles is not for people who specifically want a meal plan, right? We have a calorie and macro goal, but we don't have, this did not tell you need to eat 4 ounces of chicken for breakfast and 4 ounces of tilapia for lunch and 5 ounces of steak for dinner. It's not that. It is what you want it to be, but this is not a meal plan. So if you're looking for that, it's not for you. If you have disordered eating, a history of, or could easily slide into disordered eating, then I would not recommend this program for you. If you're someone that has an all or nothing mindset, not for you. If you do not have time or a desire to track, it's not for you. And I think that goes back to, we've been doing it for a week. Can you get on board with it? Do you like it? Or if you absolutely hate it, not for you. And if you want a restrictive diet, then it's not for you. All right, so Macros for Muscles is a program that's going to be 10 weeks long. It's going to start March 13th and it's going to end May 21st. That's right before Memorial Day. It is $297 regular price for the general public. For anyone who's in Macro Tracking Bootcamp, which obviously you guys are, this is the Bootcamp group. It's a sale price of $197. However, that sale price expires Tuesday, March 8th at midnight. So technically right now the cart is open. If you wanted to go ahead and enroll, you can. And the price is going to change at midnight. After Tuesday at midnight, it's going to change to $297. So that price is going to change. After that, I'm not going to reduce it. This is the lowest price it's going to be, only until Tuesday at midnight. Then the program is going to go on sale for everyone in the general public. If you choose to jump in after Tuesday, then it's going to be $297. For people that are in the Macro Tracking Bootcamp, as a bonus for the first 5 people that enroll in Macros for Muscles, I'm going to do a 30-minute call. These are the first 5 people that enroll. A 30-minute call to do a diet deep dive, and we can talk about anything that's going on with your nutrition. If you have specific questions and you want to go a little bit deeper, that's something that we can schedule probably this coming week and get that done before the program begins on March 13th. And that is it for my presentation. I would love to take questions now. So let's do it in the same way that we did it for the opening call, where if you have questions, just raise your virtual hand and then we'll go in the order that they come in. So it could be anything from, you know, your diet audit, how things went over the last week with you just tracking, could be questions about Macros for Muscles, could be anything. I will do my best to answer any questions. So I'm going to just go back to our regular view, and anybody who wants to ask a question, just throw your hand up. Sam is my savior. She's going to be the first question, and then you guys can follow up if you have anything.
You know, I will always have questions.
Hi.
Okay, so I have questions about the precision nutrition plan. A lot of questions actually. So I guess my overall question, my overall question is, in Macros for Muscles, is that something where we're going to like really kind of like break down our individual plan?
You can, but probably not. So It's not going to be something where like we're going to do a round robin about like, how many calories do you get to eat, Sam? And like, what's your macro breakdown? You know, like it kind of is what it is. My recommendation for people is to just get started with doing the best that you can with following the recommended calories and macros. If something seems way off to you, then like I am totally happy to take a closer look. I remember last time we ran this, there were a couple people that say they had like 1,600 calories, and then it was recommended that they did like 160 grams of protein, and that just seemed like kind of way more than 30%. So if there's something that feels really off to you, then I'll do the math myself and figure out what would be like a more appropriate ratio. But yeah, so no, in Macros for Muscles, we're probably not going to like go super crazy about that. I mean, I'm more than happy to hear about what your macros are. We can talk about, you know, whatever questions you have related to that, but it kind of just like your plan is your plan. And it's kind of hard to compare like your plan with my plan with someone else's plan, because like we're all different, right?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Did everything like make sense to you, or did it seem like, were you like, these are too high of calories, like I could never eat this much? Or was there like a macro that seemed like it was kind of off base or anything like that?
Well, I guess it was more like as I was inputting and it was asking about the different food preferences. Like I put paleo just because I tend to eat more meat, vegetables, typically, but I was like, well, is that going to, like, should I put anything just to see what it recommends, to see, like, maybe I need more carbs than I'm getting, you know, or does it all kind of balance out?
Yeah, I think that like the preference of your how you eat, I think that really just impacts did you see like the list of foods that it gives you as recommendations?
Like yeah.
So I think like I just put I eat anything. And so my recommendations are like, you know, bread and corn and barley and I don't know, quinoa and beans and stuff like that. And if you're paleo, then it's probably not going to recommend bread and beans for you. So I think it would more recommend like more potatoes and sweet potatoes and whatever else. I know there's like a lot of restrictions with paleo about, you know, gluten and highly processed foods. So for me, it's like, eat all these like grains and blah, 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 eat more of that, eat some of these things, couscous, white rice, crackers, blah, blah, blah. And then like, don't eat as much chocolate milk and cereal and stuff like that.
That makes sense.
I think that's what it mostly impacts. Okay. I don't think it really, I mean, if you put keto, then it would probably change your ratio of like carbohydrates and fats, because it would probably be like, I don't know, 60%, I'm just guessing, 60% fat and like 10% carbs. But I mean, you could do like 3 different plans if you want to, and then just choose the one that you like the best and just see like what the food lists are that they give you. Yeah. I would try that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
Yeah, you could do unlimited. It'll just send you more and more.
I know what I'm doing with the rest of my Sunday then.
Yeah, right. People did that the first time around. I was like, I don't know. I just did it one time and I just took the numbers and like, all right, just go ahead and get started. But I think people get like pretty hung up on, do I want to lose fat or do I want body recomposition? And I think when you want to lose fat, then I think it cuts your calories a little bit more. With body recomposition, there's a like slower approach to it. So it's not cutting calories as much. It's kind of just keeping your calories a little bit more manageable, but then increasing protein.
Cool. Okay. So, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think it's good to just get started with something. And then after a week or two, if you've been consistent about following the recommended plan, then you can honestly gauge like, this didn't work, or I gained weight, or I lost too much weight, or whatever it is. And then we know which direction to go in. If you get a plan and you're just second guessing it the whole time and you never really commit to it, then we don't know like where things sort of, where the wheels fell off. So it's really hard to make recommendations for there. Like you just do the thing as best you can, then we can start to like make tweaks afterwards.
Makes sense.
Nobody else has questions? I did take a lot of like individual questions today and over the course of the week. So I guess I just explained everything super well. Anybody else?
I was late. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Are you guys just talking about like the Precision Nutrition website online?
So I think Sam was asking about, doing her like macro and calorie calculator and the meal plan that it generated.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you have a question about that, or have you done that yet?
No, I Googled it just so I think I'm tracking what you guys are saying, but I just wasn't sure exactly what I missed the beginning. So I was lost.
So in the beginning, I just talked about like, we did a diet audit over the course of the week, and it sucks sometimes to really take a good look in the mirror about like what's happening. I think it's really easy to be like, well, I eat healthy and I don't know why it's not working. But when you really like look at the black and white of what's going in, like I said, I said this earlier, you know, if someone asked you like, what did you eat yesterday? You could probably come up with like some of the things that you ate, but it's really easy to forget. Like studies have shown that we forget what we ate, not that we're trying to lie about it, but like we just legitimately forget all the snacks that we had or this, that, and the other thing. So when we're tracking, we're forced to sort of look at it. And it could be like, I tracked my dinner last night when I went out to dinner, and it was like at least 1,500 calories of food and wine and whatever. And that's fine. But if I did that every day or 3 times a week, then I would probably not maintain my weight. I would be gaining weight, because even though I chose like fish and risotto, which like that's healthy, right? You know, there's probably better choices. Probably didn't need 3 glasses of wine, but you know, it sounded good at the time. But yeah, so just taking a look at the past week, and like, was there anything that you noticed? Was there anything that surprised you about, you know, what you're eating? Like, oh, I thought that, you know, I was eating more protein, and it turns out I'm really only getting like 50 grams a day. Or I thought that this thing would be healthy, and it turns out it wasn't. Like, didn't you mention something about sweet potatoes?
Yeah. That was.
Was it just more calorically dense than you figured it would be?
I just basically thought it was going to be like a freebie.
Yeah.
And I think I also, when I started weighing it on the scale, I was having less than what I was like putting in when I did like a cup or whatever. And so it came out a little bit better. But yeah, that was shocking. Yeah, I kind of thought it was like a healthy option freebie snack. It's not. Yeah. So I think, yeah. And then like trail mix, I thought would be, I mean, I know trail mix is not good, but like, it was just like, wow, even like a couple, like a bite of that, it just ruins the whole day. So that's a bummer, but good to know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, otherwise it's just, I need to get better at tracking.
How did you feel overall with like the process of tracking? I know you have 2 small kids. Like, do you feel like it's a huge extra step that you're like overloaded by?
No. It's almost like I don't eat certain things because I'm like, I don't want to enter it.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's good. And it just makes you think, like, second, you know, you're like, do I really need that? Or am I just bored?
I will say, I feel like that kind of goes away. Like at first when you're tracking, you're like, I have to track everything. And then you're like, I'm not going to eat my kids like 16 pretzels right there, because I don't want to have to log that. But then I feel like after a while, I'll start to like leave some extra calories in the bank to account for like my handfuls of my kids' snacks or like whatever. That's kind of how I'll account for it without actually like putting it in, because I'm like, I don't actually know what that was. But I think that's a very normal response. And I heard from a lot of people actually this week that they ended up probably eating less than they normally would because they knew they were tracking it.
Right.
And I think that's good and bad. I mean, the point of this week was just to track, not to try to change what you're eating necessarily. But I think it's very, it's human nature that if we're going to be like tracking, then we want to be, I don't know, tracking with purpose, or I don't know, like not have it be so front and center that I'm eating 4,000 calories a day. Like we're trying to do something about it. But really, it's just to see where we're at, honestly, so that we know. I mean, that would be great if you found out you were eating 4,000 calories a day, because then I would never like automatically put you on a 1,600 calorie diet. I would be like, cool, eat 3,000 calories a day and you will start to lose weight. And then eventually you'll plateau, and then we can bump down a little bit. All right, let's do like 2,700 calories and see where you're at. You'll start losing again, and then you'll plateau. And like, but if we just go from 4,000 calories to 1,600, like you're going to crash, right? You're going to crash pretty quickly, and then you'll plateau and have nowhere to go. So if anybody found themselves in that boat, then That's awesome. I like it. You got lots of room. Someone else just put in the chat that, yeah, Diane, I eat a lot of nuts as my go-to and tons of calories. Yeah, I had another client say that too. She was like, when I found out that a cashew had 8 calories or whatever it was, and I just kind of reach for those all the time, it kind of curbed that. It's not sexy, but like reaching for carrots or something like that is going to be a little bit more neutral than like a nut. I know it doesn't taste as good, but yeah. Or reaching for like, I don't know, like making a quick little like protein shake or something like that and sipping on that throughout the afternoon or anything. I noticed for myself, and I finally connected these dots not too long ago, is that I would go into dinner like freaking starving and then eat way more at dinner than I probably need to. But if I just have a snack at like 3 or 4, even if I know I'm going to eat dinner at 6, then I eat way less at dinner. Not way less, but I eat like a more normal amount at dinner, and I'm not hangry. I'm not barking at my husband or my kid. I'm not like, you know, irritable or whatever. I feel like it's just, you try to white knuckle it through like, well, I shouldn't need a snack. I already ate like 3 times today, but it actually is helpful so that you don't overeat later or become like a lunatic because you're hungry and you didn't realize that's why you were a lunatic. Katie, what is your question?
I have 2 brief ones. So if you, and just in your experience having used MyFitnessPal and Precision Nutrition, like, because I find that the calories that they give you are like significantly different, or at least the ones that I got.
Okay.
You know, it's like a significant difference, like by like 300 to 400 calories. So, okay. But one of them was like, I guess my question is like, how, in your experience with Precision Nutrition, and put it in like Body Recomp as an example versus just MyFitnessPal, where they don't really give you this in-depth options. Like, obviously we'll play with them a little bit just to figure out which one sort of works. But what's your thought on like that big of a difference? Should I just like split the difference and see how it goes? Or
yeah, I would maybe like split the difference, and then when we like the first week of Macros for Muscles is going to be just practicing hitting a calorie range. And so it's never going to be like 1900 calories. You must hit it on the nose, nothing over, nothing under. I would actually prefer you go like 1800 to 2000. And I would probably just put in like 2000 into MyFitnessPal. I don't know why, like for me, feeling like I have more left in the bank is almost like a weight off my shoulders. Like, oh, like I'm fine. I'm like, I don't feel like if I put in 1800 calories, I'm like, oh my God, I only have like 120 more calories and then I'm going to be so hungry or something. Like I would just shoot for a range on a daily basis. And that way you're not like super tethered to any specific number, but yeah, let's maybe split the difference and then be thinking about a range, because some days you're more hungry, some days you're less hungry, and that way you give yourself some flexibility there. Did you have a second question?
Awesome.
Oh,
that's
and
perfect.
I will also say that I feel like Precision Nutrition is more generous with like the calories allotted than MyFitnessPal is. And I don't know why that is, if it's, you know, if there's like a strategy behind it, but yeah, I would love for people to start if they're like thinking about, you know, should I go with the lower calorie option or the higher calorie option? I would love for you to at least start with the higher calorie option and just see what happens. Because like I said, with the example of someone that's eating 4,000 calories and then jumping to a 1,600 calorie diet, you're going to crash faster. I would love to see you like step down, and you might surprise yourself that if you're doing like what you think to be a higher calorie diet, you still might like notice some positive changes. Like my macros are 2,200 calories. And I feel like that's a lot. Like, I'm like, that's a lot. I'm going to gain weight. But you know what? I have not gained weight. I have actually leaned out, eating eating that and probably more, like last night when I went about 1,000 calories over that. So that's my recommendation.
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful. And then the only other question I had was like, okay, ask that please. Was about
that's real life. That's real life.
Oh my God, all the snacks. Can I have snacks? Can I have snacks? All the time. The protein. So like, we know that like protein seems to be a difficult thing to consistently get to that number for. And so I find myself just being like, okay, well, it's like 3:30 and because I like to I will put all my stuff into FitnessPal because I meal prep dinners. So I'll know generally what I like pretty early in the day if I'm going to be behind on something. And so I'll just use like the protein powder. Do you think it's fine to just keep using that as a gap fill if you're having a hard time with like actual protein food?
Yeah, I definitely think so. There's no way that I will hit 150 grams of protein without supplementing. I think the thing that you want to be careful of is that you're not using a supplement for all of your protein. So if you're, mostly food like egg whites, yogurt, cottage cheese, actual meat, beans, whatever, like if you're prioritizing those foods and you need a protein bar and you need a protein shake, or on a day where like prepping food or whatever has been crazy and you just haven't had time or whatever, a protein bar and a protein shake, cool. I don't love to see that every day, but yes, like I have leaned on that myself too. I think that just making sure that that's not all of your protein, that you're also eating real food. I have zero problems with supplementing with protein powder and protein bars or collagen or whatever, if that is what's going to get you, closer to your protein goal and not eating, just chips and dips and whatever for a snack, then I think that's going to be a more helpful strategy than like eating whatever else you would eat for a snack, which I'm trying to think. Peanut butter and pretzels. Yeah.
Or what Kira's currently eating, which is Nutter Butters, which actually sound really good, but I will not.
Oh, sounds really good.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Sam, did you have another question? Go for it.
Yeah, I did. When you were talking about the calorie goal, it just reminded me, I know earlier this week on WhatsApp, you were talking about like, don't want to like exercise wise, not thinking about exercise as like, cool, I just exercise. So now I can eat this slice of cake. But I'm curious more how, like, do you track exercise in MyFitnessPal, or do you just like focus on your calorie goal and like your movement throughout the day and your exercise is just what it is?
Yeah, I like to it is what it is. I don't put it into MyFitnessPal at all. And I think that when you do, unless you have the premium version, if you track your exercise in MyFitnessPal, I think it just adds that to your calorie like allotment for the day, unless you turn that off. And I don't know that, I know you can turn off the step counter because I just showed someone how to do that. If you have MyFitnessPal attached to like your phone's step counter or some other like device. But I just keep that off because your exercise is going to vary. And some days you're going to exercise hard. Some days you're not going to at all. And I think that, just listen, I know it's like cliche, but just listening to your body. Like if you've had a really hard training session and like, I'm a little bit more extra hungry today, so I'm going to eat a little bit more. And maybe I go to like the maximum of my calorie range, or maybe I go over it, but you're honoring your body because like you're actually freaking hungry, not just snacky or emotional or whatever. And like those things happen too. No judgment. Everyone does it. But just listen to your body. Like if you need more food, you need more food. But I think a lot of times, listening to our body is actually more helpful than going by what like your heart rate monitor says, or your Apple Watch, or your Fitbit, or your name one of many devices, because those things can underestimate calories by like a lot, sometimes by even like 30%. So you could be taking yourself out of a calorie deficit or maintenance calories and into a surplus accidentally if you're just like eating all the calories that you think that you burned by doing your weightlifting workout or whatever. I also think it kind of promotes like doing a whole bunch of cardio, because that burns the most amount of calories than, say, for instance, strength training. But strength training, my friends, is a 1-2 punch, because you are exercising your muscles, which when you eat well after, you know, breaking down your muscles, and when you eat that protein, you're going to build your muscles up. The more muscle you have on your body, the more calories you can eat without gaining weight later. So it's actually more effective. I think cardio can, like, in the moment feel like it's doing more, but it's actually not as helpful as people think it is. Strength training is more helpful. Having more lean tissue on your body gives you more freedom to like eat more food without gaining weight than if it's just like, you know, more fat on your body and then you're constantly doing cardio. So I feel like I went in a weird direction at the end there, but hopefully that answers your question. All right, cool. Anybody else have questions? I'm here for you. It could be weird. It could be something that you think only you are wondering, but I promise you other people have the same question. Oh, I probably should mention that since today is the last day of Macro Tracking Bootcamp, I'm going to close down that WhatsApp channel probably tomorrow or Tuesday. So it'll still be there. If you have any questions and you want to hit me up there, you can also send me like a private message in WhatsApp. You can email me. If you have my phone number, you can text me or call me too. So I am here for you. If you have any questions about kind of the bootcamp stuff, or if you have any questions about Macros for Muscles, the course that's starting next week, a week from today. All right. So if you guys are good, then that's it. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope to see you very soon. Congratulations on making it through the boot camp. Yay. Bye.
Thanks so much. Bye.
You're welcome.